Hi, everybody. This is Kathleen Hinesley with a very important public service announcement for all of you. Are you ready? You're not crazy. Okay, I know that most people have wondered about that at some point, maybe at many points, but particularly when you're delving into psychic subjects and psychic phenomena, it's very common as you meditate, as you begin reading things. You may start hearing voices, you may start having visions, you may start getting downloaded information. Some of it may be a little questionable and you're not sure if it's your thinking or if it's coming from the outside. I'm going to share with you a little bit about how to tell in a moment. But you're not crazy, you're getting in information. And even when I worked with mentally ill people for 11 years back in California, I found that a lot of them were actually psychic. They were actually seeing real spirit beings. And sometimes I would see what they were seeing or hear what they were hearing. Wasn't very comfortable, but it would happen sometimes because I'm very sensitive. Anyhow, they were kind of delving into the spirit realm a bit. And it can get a bit dangerous because some people, of course, are hearing what some people would call demonic entities telling them to kill people, right? And they mistakenly think it's God telling them, and then they follow that. Don't follow it. And I'm pretty sure most people watching this channel wouldn't follow voices like that, but it's very, very important not to follow any voices that have a particular characteristic, and I'll discuss those with you later, but I want to tell you the story first. So the story is that when I first had this cabin built, I went to a particular shop, I bought a whole bunch of wood, and I had the builders build it, and I was very excited. And then over the ensuing months, the wood shrank, and there were a whole lot of gaps that developed between the wood boards. And I think you can see that on some of my earlier videos. So recently I had them go back and do more construction work, but by this time I had purchased wood of the same species from a different shop that was several miles away. And what happened was I was sitting down at my desk while they were banging away with hammers and hitting the wood against the walls. And I had this very bizarre feeling. And the feeling was that the two communities of trees that had come from different places were not friends. The original, this is just like the downloaded kind of information that I was receiving. So what happened was when I first bought the first batch of wood, they were pretty pacifist in general, like pretty peaceful, didn't have a lot of issues with people. But the second batch of wood was part of a more of a militant type tree group, and they didn't appreciate a couple of things. They didn't appreciate the other wood, and they really didn't appreciate the fact that I had separated the planks because I only replaced some of the boards, and I had separated them from each other. And I'm like, oh my Lord, what am I going to do? Right? And normally, back a long time ago, I would have thought that I was crazy, but now I have a way of telling if the information's coming from inside or from outside, and here's how you do it. If it's coming from inside, there's a thought that happens before that thought happens. So you start wondering things about, like for me, I'd normally wonder about toxins. So I'd wonder about like, oh, what about that tree farm? Did they put any, herbicide on those trees? And I should have checked the shop before I ordered it and blah, 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 like that, right? I would have thought of those things. And then I would have maybe had that thought about the conversations taking place. And there would have been a little bit of effort involved in that thinking process, similar to when you're doing a math problem or concentrating on an essay. There would have been a very, very faint amount of story writing effort that my brain would have been going through to concoct that story. Instead, it felt like when you watch animals and you could see that one of the animals is being mean to the other animal, and you don't understand what the animals are saying. They're barking, right? But you can feel and see what's going on. So in this case, I could only feel it, and it felt a bit like I could hear it. Although I wasn't getting words, I was getting this sense of communication between the two different communities of trees. And A while back, I would have really thought I was out of my mind, completely loony, right? But I started talking to one of the guys that was here that gives me motorcycle rides up and down the hill when I feel too tired to take my own motorcycle. And he said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, you've got to get somebody to bless the house because there's like a spirit house and it needs to be up by the roof near the ceiling. And they come in and they bless the house because sometimes people build houses and you can't even live there. So he was very receptive to what I was telling him. So in cultures all around the world, they look at these kind of things differently. So, however, we look at them in the West, which is where I'm from the United States, may not be at all the only way to look at it and isn't the only way to look at it. And then, even if you're somebody who's been diagnosed with whatever, schizophrenia, schizoaffective disorder, bipolar, blah, 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 whatever, it doesn't mean that you're not getting psychic information in. It may very well be psychic information. It's just that, as in all cases, if you're hearing what I would call intrusive thoughts, that's what they call it in the psychiatric literature, and that's going to feel a certain way, then you might get messages like, oh, you should kill this person or that person. That, I believe, is what a lot of people would term as demonic energy telling you to do something. I can't believe that if there is a God, which I think there is, but that's my personal belief system, but that if there is a God, I don't see why in the world God would advise another creature to kill another one of its creations. That just doesn't, I don't get it. Like, that wouldn't happen. According to me, logically, they wouldn't want a human to kill another human. I don't believe that. So I don't believe that any messages coming through that way are coming from a good source. I think those are spirits on the wrong side of the railroad track, so to speak. Now, the way that I can tell those differences, I remember when I was about 18 or 19, which is a really critical age. When you're about that age, you get a lot of intrusive thoughts if you're a psychic person. So I got a couple of thoughts like that, and they felt a certain way. They felt really, I don't know how to explain it. It was like oppressive and parental. And I've talked to a lot of my schizophrenic clients that I've had over the years. And when they have negative voices interfering, giving them intrusive thoughts, those intrusive thoughts are negative, derogatory, and oppressive and parental, usually. That's not clean energy. It's not. It's not clean energy. And so you can tell if it feels clean or not. So I can tell you that some of the tree species did not have completely clean energy. They weren't like the other, well, it's all the same tree species, but the second wood community did not have completely clean energy. So I am going to have somebody come and bless the house. But it wasn't intrusive specifically to me, although I felt like they were annoyed with me. But anyhow, it's fine. If you're having anything like that, it's completely fine. It's part of the historical human experience. We all are receptive beings. We have amazing electrical, magnetic properties. I don't know if they're magnetic. There's a lot of electricity going on in our brains, and we receive a lot of information from the outside. And it's normal to have both good and bad information come in. And it's very difficult at times to sort through, but it doesn't make you crazy. It makes you possess a certain type of magic that you just have to sift through to help yourself feel more balanced and to have the best effect that you can on the world. At least that's my opinion about things. Thanks for watching my channel. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and please subscribe. It helps the channel grow. If you can share the video, that's even more helpful. All right, thank you so much. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.